Hello, America, and welcome to the B-Locke Show. I'm your host, Brandon Locke, and this is our first episode of the B-Locke Show. For those who don't know me, my name is Brandon Locke. I am a 32-year-old physical education teacher from Chicago, Illinois. I attended Florida A&M University, go Rattlers, where I pledged Phi Beta Sigma and was on the FAMU Royal Court. I have been teaching for going on 8 years now. I enjoy what I do, and I'm very passionate about things that are important to me, such as this country, the Black community, sports, Marvel. So, with everything going on in the world, it's been very frustrating, especially, when you're on Facebook and you're sharing this and that. A lot of times you feel like you're not doing enough. And I'm not really the type of person to be in front of a camera because I don't crave attention like that. But I've come to a point in my life where I feel like I have to do more. I've gone out and protested. I've talked to people at churches and schools, and I've talked with friends. I've lost friends. But now I'm at a point where I just can't sit in my basement and do nothing, I have to use my voice to talk about what matters, and also try to bring some joy and happiness to the world, as well as some information and education. So, if you are watching, welcome. I hope you will continue to join in and tune in. I will try to put at least 2 episodes a week, at least. And once again, the point of my show is not to espouse my opinions and my views. I'll obviously give my opinions on topics that I touch on, but this is not a show about me. It's not a show about me trying to espouse what I believe. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to be famous, or I'm not, like I said, I'm not seeking attention. If only 10 people watch my show, I'm fine with that. I don't really care about numbers. I just want to put something out that has facts, that is informative, that can help people, and in a mix, share some entertainment news, share some sports news, just because I don't want this show to be like just a depressing thing, whereas all we talk about is stuff that's sad and disappointing. So I always want to make sure that I'm mixing in some fun stuff, some entertaining things, so it's not just a drag. So with that said, I'm going to touch on 4 things today. The first thing is that recently Donald Trump did an interview where he was asked about the Confederate flag, and he was also asked about police killings in the Black community. Please watch.
As we mentioned at the top of the program, President Trump taped an interview with CBS News before his White House session with reporters today. In one exchange, he talked about both the Confederate flag and the number of white people killed by the police as compared to black people.
President Trump, back in 2015, you said the Confederate battle flag belongs in a museum. Do you still believe that?
All I say is freedom of speech. It's very simple. My attitude is freedom of speech. Very strong views on the Confederate flag. With me, it's freedom of speech. Very simple. Like it, don't like it, it's freedom of speech.
Would you be comfortable with your supporters displaying the Confederate battle flag at political events?
It depends on what your definition is, but I am comfortable with freedom of speech. It's very simple.
You understand why the flag is a painful symbol for many people, because it's a reminder of slavery.
Well, people love it, and I know people that like the Confederate flag, and they're not thinking about slavery. I look at NASCAR. You go to NASCAR, you had those flags all over the place. They stopped it. I just think it's freedom of speech, whether it's Confederate flags or Black Lives Matter or anything else you want to talk about. It's freedom of speech.
Let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
Now, before I touch on this video, let me be very clear about my views and my opinions on this presidency and this president. I am no fan of Donald Trump. Anyone that knows me will tell you that I'm no fan of Donald Trump at all. I think he's a racist. I think he's misogynistic. I think he's a wannabe dictator. I think he's very insecure, small. I could go on and on and on and on. But this video is very telling of the man that Donald Trump is. I just want you to think about this for a minute. He was asked about the Confederate flag. Now, if you know the history of the Confederate flag, you know that the Confederate flag is rooted in racism. The Confederacy only lasted about 5 years, and the Confederacy was about maintaining slavery and going against the values of this country. The Confederate flag is actually a treasonous flag because they were trying to, it was a civil war. They were fighting against Americans. It was Americans against Americans, but they didn't share the same values that we as a whole country share. So for me, this is, I've always known Donald Trump was a racist. I've said this from the very beginning, from the minute he even campaigned. But now I think that we are in a stage in this presidency where he's basically just outright saying it. Before they would ask him a lot of questions about him being a racist and this and that, and he would dodge it and he'd, kind of go around it. Now he's really just bathing in it. The reporter asked him a simple question, like, do you support the Confederate flag? Any common sense person, that's not a racist would have said, no, I don't stand for the values of the Confederate flag. But with Donald Trump, he frames it as free speech. And for those of you that don't understand what that means, yes, obviously, we all believe in free speech. No one is trying to suppress anybody's free speech. But Donald Trump knows that when he supports the Confederate flag, it is a bullhorn to white nationalists, white supremacists, the KKK, people like David Duke and all these other people. It is a bullhorn telling them, hey, I got your back. I'm with you. I'm riding with you. It's pretty much that simple. And I should have probably said this at the beginning. I'm very blunt. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to dance around anything. The man is a racist. Is pretty much straight up. Now, to this other question where he was asked about police killings in the black community. Let's get something very clear, all right? It is actually a fact that statistically white people have been killed more than the cops. And just a side note, if that, just the fact that it is a fact, white people should be just as enraged as us, but that's another side note. That is a very deceptive fact, though, because although white people by the number have been killed more, black people are being killed at a higher rate, almost 3 times higher than any other race in this country. Not to mention, police encounters with black people are much different than white people. And if you've seen any video that I'm sure has been shared on Facebook or just on the media, you see that interactions between black people and the police are much different. We are treated differently. We're talked to differently. the police have less patience when it comes to us. So this is just the president again trying to not acknowledge systematic racism, trying to not acknowledge that white supremacy and systematic racism is a problem in this country. I mean, the fact that he's trying to make Black Lives Matter look like a hate group, that should tell you all you need to know. So anyway, let's move on. The next topic I want to cover is the coronavirus, because right now we have over 3 million cases in the United States. Over 3 million. And over 136,000 people have died. I need to say that again because I feel like people are not taking this as seriously as they should. We have over 3 million cases just in this country. And over 136,000 people have died. Florida just shattered its single-day record the other day. So when it comes to the coronavirus, we should all be taking it very seriously. We should all be wearing masks when we can. We should all be social distancing. And we should be following the CDC guidelines. Now, mentioning the CDC, the White House has ordered all hospitals to give their coronavirus data to the White House, not to the CDC, the White House. Watch this video.
The New York Times reporting the Trump administration is ordering hospitals to bypass the CDC and send all patient information to HHS instead. This cuts out the CDC and may make this data much harder to access for the medical community.
So, for those of you that don't really understand what that means that the data that hospitals are giving out for the CDC so that we know what the actual numbers are, that data is now going to be harder for us to see, because the White House is now going to try to take that data and either flip it or amend it to where it doesn't look as bad as it is. And I just want you to think about this. In recent days, President Trump has attacked Dr. Anthony Fauci, the lead pandemic doctor in this entire thing. The one guy who's been actually trying to tell us the truth about the pandemic. His advisors have attacked Dr. Fauci. Trump has been lying about the pandemic since day one. He hasn't been honest with us. He told us to drink bleach. He showed no empathy toward the fact that we have 136,000 people dead. He's barely talked about it. He hasn't provided hospitals with PPE and the materials that they need. He hasn't provided a national response to this virus, instead leaving it to the states and governors to basically handle it themselves. So you have to understand that I'm always skeptical of this White House because they're always doing things that are just slimy. I mean, they do things to where it's hard to trust anything they do or say. So, with this move, it's only furthering the distrust between the American people and this administration. Once again, the hospitals were sending their information to the CDC. The CDC was sharing this information and was making it public so that we are aware of the case count and how many. That information is now going to be hidden or going straight to the White House. And the White House basically gets to decide what info to share and what not to share. So that's where we are. please, as an American, I'm a proud American. I mean, it's hard to be a proud American these days, but I am still a proud American. And as a patriot, it's important that we all take care of each other and be there for each other. And what that means, wear a mask. It's not that hard. Wear a mask wherever you go. Social distance when you can. Stay home when you can. And just, think about other people. The mask is not necessarily for you. I'm a young person. If I get coronavirus 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be fine. But it's not about me. I have grandparents. I have nieces and nephews and other people that I need to think about. So please wear a mask and be a patriot and help other people. Moving on. Sports. So I am a huge fan of the NBA. I love the NBA. I love basketball. I love all sports, but the NBA is obviously my favorite one. We may get a season, might get a season, might not get a season. So right now, the plan is for NBA players right now they're in Orlando, in a bubble, as they call it. And they're going to be starting the NBA season at the Wild Water Sports in Disney. Side note, as a basketball coach, I won a championship there. Go Tab Spurs. Anyway, right now NBA players are in Orlando preparing to finish the season. And multiple players are already testing positive for COVID. Now, I actually said in the beginning that I didn't think this was a good idea. I pretty much said I think the season just needs to end. Because if one person gets coronavirus, it's a wrap. Like, it's going to spread, and you're going to have the community trace, and yada, yada, and it's going to be a mess. And so a few players have already tested positive in recent days for coronavirus, which makes it look a little suspect that this season is going to finish. Watch this video with Michael Wilbon and hear what Adam Silver had to say.
Silver expressed concern yesterday about the possibility of positive cases arising after players and staff have entered the protective bubble environment in Orlando. Silver told Fortune Brainstorm Health, quote, "What would be the most concerning is once players go through our quarantine, if we were to have any positive tests, we would know that we have an issue," close quote. Silver went as far as to say if that happened, the NBA could face a second shutdown.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really don't know if the NBA season is going to continue because, there are players that are not necessarily responsible in terms of making sure they stay in the bubble and, keep other people out of the bubble. I, like everyone else, wants to see the NBA season start. I want to see all sports start. The NFL is a little different. I'm not too big on the NFL right now because I don't like how they've been handling Colin Kaepernick and this whole situation. We'll cover that in another video or in the next episode. But I just, as much as I want to see basketball come back in the NBA, I just don't think that it's possible. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to attempt to start it, and I think they're going to have to eventually stop because a lot of players are going to test positive. They're going to have to community trace, and it's just going to be a hot mess. So we'll see what happens. I hope they can do it, but I'm not too optimistic. Moving on. Last topic, and once again, for those of you that have actually watched this and watching my show and have been with me this whole time, I hope you're enjoying it. I'm trying to make sure I'm quick and concise, and hopefully the topics that I'm talking about are actually important to you and you care about. So the last thing I want to talk about, something near and dear to my heart, and really, really excited about, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, you may not be a gamer, but I'm a gamer. I'm a huge gamer. I have a PS4. I have great game collection. Marvel's Spider-Man was an amazing game. Amazing game. So much fun. I probably beat it like 4 or 5 times with the DLC. It was so much fun, and it was great. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about Marvel's Avengers. That is a new game coming out for the PS4 in September. I will talk about that in my next video. But for this video, I wanted to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Why? We got a black Spider-Man, people. Black Spider-Man got his own game. As you can tell, I'm super excited. Watch the trailer. Enjoy.
Hero's just someone who doesn't give up. Your dad said that. He was right. Now it's your turn. Go be a hero, Miles.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm so excited for this game for so many reasons. For those of you that haven't played Marvel Spider-Man, number 1, go and play it. It's amazing. But number 2, for those who never played it, Miles Morales actually is in the first Marvel Spider-Man, and you actually get to play as him in the game, not as, you know, a Spider-Man character, but just as him. I never thought that he would get his own game. I thought that, because I know Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to be coming out, and I thought that he would probably be a playable character again, and he'd probably, you know, by that time he would be his own Spider-Man, so I thought maybe he'd get a chance to play as him in the, you know, the next Marvel Spider-Man. For him to get his own game, it's historic. I'll say why. Number 1, Miles Morales, the character, has been around for a while, and his fame and popularity has actually grown tremendously with the recent Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, and like I said, he was in this movie, and he's been in other cartoons. But for him to get his own game, especially, you know, with everything going on in the world and the black community, to have a black Spider-Man in a game like this, I already know is gonna be amazing. It's historic. Like I am extremely excited for it. I am extremely proud that you know. A lot of times when we think superheroes, we think white people. I'm just be blunt. We think white people. We think Superman, Batman, Captain America, Iron Man, and obviously you see I got my boy Iron Man behind me, but this is great. Like, to have a black superhero, prominent black superhero, his own video game. I'm excited. You should be too. Well, folks, this is the conclusion of my first episode. I hope it wasn't boring. I hope you enjoyed it. I will continue to put these out as often as I can. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you come back, and take care of yourself. Stay safe, stay informed, and stay united, America.